Hello, world. You're listening to Eleanor Wagner's Strange and Scary World, here on the Paranormal UK Radio Network, where we're always creeping it real. I'm your host, Eleanor Wagner. In February of 2019, I formed a paranormal investigation team primarily comprised of women. I called it the Lady Ghostbusters. Since then, the team has grown to include a team of 20 women and men. On today's program, I'll be interviewing a Lady Ghostbuster team member as part of the Lady Ghostbuster series. On each episode, you'll meet a team member and get to know them personally, what their background is, what drives them, and what led them to the world of the paranormal. Let's give a warm welcome to today's guest, Deb Solinski. Welcome, Deb.
Hello.
So, if you think back to January of 2019, it was the first time we spoke. You responded to a social media post I made about my first book, Sussex County Hauntings and Other Strange Phenomena. If I remember correctly, you mentioned it was your mother who turned you on to the post, right?
Yes, my mother had gone on a social media page and she saw you asking for anyone that had any Sussex County haunting stories. And she called me actually right away when I was at work and said, I have the perfect opportunity for you. If there's anybody that has stories, it's you. And so I'll give you a call.
Well, I'm glad you did. That initial interaction subsequently led to my interviewing you for the book that same month. But if you recall, I reached out to you with an opportunity to be a part of a paranormal investigation taking place at the Sterling Hill Mining Museum in Ogdensburg, New Jersey, your hometown. Now, we didn't really know one another at that point, except for the fact that I interviewed you for my book. So technically, you didn't know me from Adam. But you came along with me on that investigation anyway. Why?
I just had a feeling. I just went with it. Had a feeling. I said, and it's weird because right beforehand I was going to cancel. I was just feeling tired that day, and I think it was like pretty cool out that day, or it might have been raining earlier. And I just wanted to be home and comfy, but then something told me, no, go.
I think I remember you even saying something along the lines was you always wanted to go to the mines on an investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that to me.
I've been in the mine many times because I grew up in Ogdensburg. The mine is one of my favorite places. Of course, I've only seen it from more of like a museum tour standpoint, but always wondered ever since I was little, like what's in there that could be paranormal? My mother was friends with a few people back in the 80s that lived across the street in the houses, and those houses used to be the houses that the mine workers stayed in. And every single one of them said the same thing. It's haunted in here. We have a ghost in my house. So I knew that there had to be something in the mine.
I actually wrote about a couple of those houses in book one, stories of people that grew up in the mining houses and their ghosts behind them. Well, that first investigation was the start of a beautiful relationship. No?
Definitely.
And since then, we've gone on dozens of paranormal investigations together, along with the original team of women selected, and then a bunch of men and women we picked up along the way. How would you say this has affected your life, and what do you think about the Lady Ghostbuster team overall?
I think it's a great idea. I've often watched all of the shows on TV. There's usually either male groups or a mix of men and women, but there hasn't really been a solid team of Lady Ghostbusters, and I just think it's a wonderful idea. I love being part of the team. I feel very appreciative. I feel like I was definitely in the right space at the right time. I don't know, something in the universe.
Well, what is your day job?
I am a nurse. I'm an LPN.
So I know that time was difficult for you because of your hours at one point, and
yeah.
So now it's changed a little bit, so you have more free time to come on those nightly investigations. So that worked out well. You were sensitive as a child, and ever since then, you have been trying to educate yourself and hone in on your abilities. Can you explain what you mean by that?
I have picked up, probably since the age of 8 years old, any book that I can find. It started out with going to Cape Cod as a child and going to a bookstore. Just going to give a shout out to the Yellow Umbrella. I hope it's still there. I haven't been there in forever. And they had a whole section of books on true hauntings up in, the Cape Cod area and Martha's Vineyard. So I picked those up because I had never, I've known of ghost stories, like all of the ones that we may know, Dracula, things like that. But I had never read any true haunting books by just regular people. So that's where it started, which then led into books about true hauntings, books about how to communicate with people that have passed over, then books about crystals and rocks, which have, an ability to help with, well, they call it scrying. It's still practiced today. Just anything I could get my hands on that had to do with the paranormal. And over the years, I was so happy to see television shows coming out, because you learn. The more you seek it out, the more you learn. I know it's not everyone's hobby. I have a lot of people that tell me, how do you do that? You must be so scared all the time, or that's really weird, or, that doesn't even exist. But to me, it is extremely real. Like, there's no way I can ever doubt the experiences that I have had.
Well, your Ogdensburg home was haunted.
Yes.
You told me growing up.
Yeah.
So that explains you having activity at home. Didn't you say something about the neighbors coming to you also?
Yeah, I had new neighbors that moved into a house a few houses down, and they called my mother inquiring if I could babysit, which I agreed to. But when I got to their house to babysit, they said, well, another reason why they had me here was because they heard that I was that person in the neighborhood, and that could I help them with their ghost problem. Because they had just moved in, and they said they'd never experienced anything like this. Pictures are flying off the walls.
Oh my.
Disembodied voices. And I said, well, that's the same stuff that's going on at my house as well.
Did you ever trace it back to maybe the land and what was there before? Or
I do know that the land used to be, they called it Ogden Hills, and it was undeveloped. It had a lot of apple trees and things like that. It definitely is very, very close to the railroad system that we have up on the mountain. So when, it was a development, and when I was younger, we would go up to the railroad tracks. We would find arrowheads, things of that nature. So there's definitely a lot of history on the land. But I don't know for sure if anything, traumatic ever happened, any accidents or anything like that. I do know that when my house was being built, that the side of it that we experienced most of the activity in completely fell off.
Oh, wow.
I don't believe there was any energies, but thinking about that now, I'm like, was that kind of like a foreshadowing of things to come? Because it was always in that part of the house.
And you did mention to me at one time you were outside digging in the side of the house, and your dad came and asked you, what are you digging? And you said something, well, go ahead, you could talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know why I would dig on, like if you were facing my house, it would be the left-hand side. And next to the patio, I just would dig. And we would find things there. We found, I don't know, like little doll furniture and just things that seemed to be purposefully buried, but there was only one owner before us. I don't know if they had children or whatever. So I was always attracted to that side of the yard. But I always felt something there. Like I always got like a really weird somebody's watching me kind of feeling. And when, I don't remember this, I was too young, but I was digging on the side of the house, and, my parents came out and they said, you got to stop digging there because the phone lines are there. And you don't want to dig into those. And I said, well, I have to find the man.
Oh.
And they said, what man? And I said, well, the man that's under the ground here, I have to find him. So, I don't know.
You don't know if that was something that was realistic or imaginary?
Yeah, but I figured, where would I get that from that young? Like, it just never made sense to me. But then growing up, it made a ton of sense to me. I'd be outside playing by myself on winter days, and there'd be voices coming from that side of the house, like calling me all over the yard, and I could never find anyone. It was like terrifying to me.
Interesting. Well, a personal friend of mine, Trudy Brown, she's a psychic. She told me that she feels that Ogdensburg is one of the most haunted places in New Jersey. And when she drives through, she says they're all over the place. You see one standing on the corner, one crossing the street, and they're from all walks of life.
Yeah.
I found that very interesting. You know?
I completely agree with that statement. There are definitely, I've lived there my whole life. I've walked every street there, and there are definitely places where I feel are more uncomfortable for me to be, but not in a, not really scared off where I have to run off, but definitely an eerie, I just feel like I'm not alone, somebody's watching me feeling. And also a lot of history as well. Like, I don't get negative feelings in certain places. I get very positive, I don't know if I can call it like family vibes from certain houses and certain pieces of land.
Like you're attached to it somehow, in a way?
No, like like whoever was there before us is.
Ah, I see.
I can feel like the energy around that certain area.
Well, you've told me you've had some experiences in Heater's Pond, which is in Ogdensburg.
Yes. Yeah. Heater's Pond could get a little bit creepy sometimes. I had driven into the parking lot, parked my car, got out, was checking my cell phone, and you'll hear, like, you know, footsteps coming around the parking lot, voices calling out, just a general, like I said, sense of all eyes are on me, all eyes are watching me here.
What about the time you were there with your boyfriend?
Which one? Not which boyfriend. Well, possibly. Which experience were you talking about?
Well, tell me about them all. I'd love to hear them.
I can't. Which
well, the one
experience?
About the miner.
Oh my gosh, that wasn't at Heater's Pond. That was at the Edison Monument.
Oh, okay, but that's off of the pond, isn't it?
Yeah, if you drive past the pond up the road, there's the Edison Monument, and it's kind of, I don't know, you could get there by GPS, but for what you're thinking it would be, if you're coming there for the first time, it's kind of very understated. So,
but you can't miss it when you're driving up that road.
Right when you see it, you know it's the place. It's right there. But at first you don't think, oh, this could be like the entrance to a monument. But it's actually the ruins of Thomas Edison's, I think he called it the Ogden Baby Project, where he was mining up there. There's still old foundations and very deep water pits that change color depending on the time of the year and what kind of bacteria is growing in there. It's like very interesting, but it's also very active, I would say. I had a boyfriend when my daughter was younger. We were taking a walk, and I brought my daughter up a small trail that led to what I didn't know at the time, an embankment to where you could see down below, and that's where my boyfriend was. And as we were walking up to the embankment, me and my daughter, who was probably 6 or 7 at the time, heard clear as day a man's voice, not yelling, not urgent. He just said, "Help," like that, from the woods. And I thought, oh, maybe there's another hiker down. It could be anyone. So, you know, we were looking around. "Sir, where are you? You know, can we help you?" And as we're looking for him, we get to the end of the trail, and it's just an embankment. And I said, that's strange. And the minute I'm thinking that, from the bottom of the embankment, I see my boyfriend just running. And he's going, "Hurry up, run to the car." And I thought maybe, oh my gosh, there's a bear. So right away I forgot about, you know, hearing "help." And we got in the car, and he was so scared he wouldn't speak. He was shaking. He was pale. And I said, what's wrong? What happened? Was there a bear? And he said, I'll tell you later when we get home. I don't want to scare your daughter. Later we get home, and he told me that he was wandering off when he saw a man dressed in full mining gear just walk right past him and kind of like tip his hat and then just evaporate into the air. And the direction where that man was walking was right where me and my daughter heard the help. So.
Wow, that's crazy cool.
That was.
And you've had similar stories to that effect in that area.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people have, too. A lot of people hear voices coming in from the tunnels. They think someone's there. There was a separate time. There's a large rock when you pull into the parking spot down one of the trails. And a friend of mine and my daughter were sitting on the rock, and we heard and felt somebody run past us on the trail. We heard the footsteps. We felt like the air swishing past as somebody's running past, and there was no one there. And my daughter, said, what was that? I had absolutely no explanation for
what it was.
Yeah.
Well, you say she's also sensitive to spirits.
She is. She doesn't like to be, though. It scares her.
Aw. Well, I can understand that. Maybe as she gets older, her opinion of that will change.
Yeah, actually, it was funny. Last night, I was out of the house for a while, and she called me and said, Mom, did you stop home at all? And I said, nope, haven't been there yet. Why? And she said, the front door, I've heard it open and close 3 separate times. She said, did you go on an investigation lately and forget to sage? And I said, you know what? I did. And she said, I have never felt anything in this apartment yet. And, every time you forget to sage, I feel something, and it's weird. So she did it for me.
So
and then,
you're always bringing something home with you.
She even said, she goes, this is such a weird life. How do you tell people, like, your friends that are over? Because she had friends over that heard it happening. And she said a female voice whispered, shh, in her friend's ear. And that's why they decided to call me. And she, she said, sometimes it's embarrassing. Like, sorry, my mom's a psychic and a paranormal investigator, and she forgot to sage and light the white candles.
Hey, I would think that's pretty cool. I want to hang out with her. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
It makes her so uncomfortable, though. She says, I just don't like it. I don't like the feeling. I feel like somebody's watching me, and I know somebody's here. I hear them, and they're talking, and I just want it out of my house.
Poor
Said,
Vanyan.
Understood.
Her name is Vanyan, right?
Yeah.
Why'd you name her that, Vanyan?
It's
a neat name.
I'm way into punk rock, and there's this great British punk band called The Damned, and their lead singer, who I was just mad over my entire life, is named Dave Vanyan. And I said I want to name my daughter something beautiful and unique.
Well,
just
if Dave
like
Vanyan is out there listening to this program, there's a baby girl out there named for you.
Right?
That's funny.
Oh, God, can you imagine?
On a totally different note, you tell me that you have an empathic nature. I have no clue what that means.
Well, for all of my otherworldly people in society out there, I'll give a hint. I have a very ancient, rare blood type that only 15% of the world has. And they say one of the traits of this blood type is very almost like telepathic levels of empathy. And, it could be a good thing and a bad thing. It's very good in my career as a nurse, but it's also mentally exhausting. It takes a lot out of you because it's like you can legitimately feel people's emotions. I don't know how to explain it, unless I'm sure that other people out there know exactly what I'm talking about. You could be sitting next to somebody on a bus and just be like absorbing their energy. And it's not always negative energy or sad energy. Sometimes it's like joy or happiness, which is good. But it's all in all very exhausting. It makes you question yourself sometimes. Like, am I really feeling this, or is this something I'm picking up from someone? But it definitely makes me more, well, empathetic to any of the, the spirits that might want to communicate, or the people that the actual live people that I'm communicating with on investigations.
Is that the reason for not wanting to do too many investigations in one weekend, because it's exhausting, it drains you yourself?
Sometimes, yeah, it does. If you're around too much energies, too much, because it's not just being able to feel somebody else's pain or suffering or happiness or love, or it's also, well, this is probably going beyond empathy, maybe into like the metaphysical skills of it that like psychics or psychic sensitives and mediums probably share, where you get, you could see the pictures in your head. Sometimes they're not pleasant. You can smell things, actually hear things, smell things, taste things that aren't in reality present, but you can absorb somehow through
disability,
whatever this is that I have, that I've learned
to understand that a little bit with you ladies. If we're due for an investigation and one of you comes up to me and say, I gotta bow out of this one, and I gotta totally understand why, because it's just all consuming. So
yeah. And sometimes just like vibes. Like, I don't know, I worked at a haunted animal shelter. I don't want to say which one, but I've never done this before, but I did have to quit the position because I said, I just can't with I feel chased out of here. I'm afraid.
Was it animal energy or human?
No, It was human. I mean, full footsteps, talking, turning on and off lights, just feeling like somebody was constantly at my back watching everything I did, and they were not happy with any of it.
Wow.
And it was so strong and overpowering. I said, I'm a nervous wreck. I'm full of anxiety. I can't do this anymore, which I don't know. That's crazy. I don't know if people usually quit their jobs because it's haunted, but when I left, they did say, ugh, another one.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That says a lot, huh?
Some people didn't experience it at all, and some people, it was just overbearing.
I think situations like that have to do with people who are sensitive to things. They're going to feel it more than others.
Oh, definitely. Like, I always wonder what it's like for people that don't have to feel energies or feel wavelengths or
any of that.
Yeah, just like I don't know what it is. Like, it's just this, for me, like a inborn automatic knowing, like a radar system, a built-in radar system. I don't know, but it comes in handy because if you had sensed that you're in danger or somebody that you're with or close to is in danger,
oh sure,
you can prevent that.
I can see that.
I'm going to say I'm betting on that I'm either a really lucky person or there's a team of, I don't know, spirits or angels or whatever anyone wants to call it looking out for me that I can tap into. So...
Well, I'm a firm believer that we all have somebody watching out for us in one way or another, but you have to be receptive to it. If you're not, then you're going to miss those opportunities. But if you do understand and accept, then you're going to be receptive, obviously, and hear and sense if they're trying to connect with you somehow or tell you something or warn you of something as well.
Definitely.
So does this have to do with you being deeply spiritual? Is there a connection with that in the spirituality
I
arena?
think so, too, because I grew up in a Catholic household, and going to Catholic church, it was very regular part of ritual to include, the Holy Ghost, often talking about, referencing ghosts, exorcisms, things of that nature. So that was always present and understood to me since I was younger. But then you get in, I don't know, I think there's like a line, like I thought everyone was able to do what I could do. So the other children with me, like in, the Catholic classes or at church, like I thought everyone
was the same.
Yeah, can feel the things I feel and see the things I see.
Right.
And so I would ask questions to, the nuns or the priest about, well, what about I could see that person over there? And
oh my.
And that was a no-no. So I learned kind of quickly. All right, there's definitely something different about me, and not everyone can do this.
Right.
Or have this happen to them.
Did you get teased about it?
I did when I was too young to know that I was different, and I would go to school talking about, the ghost in our house, and I didn't realize older kids were picking on me. They were kind of like, oh, you have a ghost in your house? They're asking me all these questions. They're laughing, making fun of me. But to me, there was nothing funny. It was just a regular part of the day, like going out and getting the mail, or, like, oh, yeah, well, last night we were watching TV and the ghost walked through the kitchen. But not everybody believes in ghosts, There are people that, for whatever reason, it's just they haven't had an experience, or they just so firmly do not believe that there's anything that I believe that they are blocked from it. Because I do believe that everyone can tap into this somehow to become more aware if they want to.
Everybody has the ability, I do agree. But just for the record, you're not different. You're special and you're gifted.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Oh, absolutely.
I hope I always feel like my main objective with all of this has always been to help people and let them know that, there is emotional support and physical support for you in this.
And that you're not crazy.
Yes, because I was one of those people that was, she's nuts. She thinks she sees things, but it's just paragolia. It's this, it's that, But, no, I mean, how do you explain defying physics and having magnets just fly right off the refrigerator across the room? That's crazy. And I see it happen. I don't know how to explain it. I just have to, there's that, and move on with my day, because I don't know what it is. But
it just is.
So my objective is to help people, make them feel like they're supported, they're safe, they're not nuts. And also, I hope that there's got to be some sort of explanation for this that I think in the future, I don't see it happening in any too soon near future, but definitely in the future, I have a feeling that people are going to become more accepting and understand, and they're going to find out exactly what it is. Technology is increasing every day. We have better equipment coming out, new equipment, a whole new generation of all these tech-savvy kids that just grew up on the internet and in this. And there's going to be a way where we're going to be able to connect these 2 universes, 3, 10, 12, I don't know.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
I think there's tons of parallel universes, and sometimes they might be overlapping, and maybe that's what we're seeing at times. But then how do you explain the intelligent ability of some spirits, the ones that you ask them to move something, it moves. So what is that?
Some say that they're stronger because they've been working at it longer.
I've heard that too.
But the paranormal itself has come a long way, and just the last 20 years, 10 years ago, somebody really couldn't speak openly about it without being ridiculed. Now it's way more accepted, and I think that's why people are more into learning and educating themselves about it, because it's more accepted, and people are coming out of the woodwork and saying, hey, that's happened to me, or hey, I can do that. And so they're not being put into an insane asylum anymore. They're actually taken seriously.
Exactly. And there's an entire online community worldwide, it can't just be that all of these people are crazy.
Exactly.
No, not all of these people are not crazy. All of these people have abilities to sense something. There was a guy that said something about, the reality that you create, the reality that you live in is only what you're going to experience and see. So therefore, on a daily basis, if you believe that every Tuesday morning is garbage day and you bring the garbage can out, it's going to be picked up by the time you get home from work, and you're paying attention to your physical reality. And there are people that pay just as much attention to that spiritual reality that they might believe in as well, which some people might not. That's why they're not having experiences. I don't know. But
that's an interesting point.
A take on it. Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name. It's driving me nuts because he's a world-renowned physicist. He's written all of these books, and he was coming out saying that his theory is that we're all in a computer And he said,
Please, no.
that could be the reality, but you're just not noticing it because reality is what you make it. It's what you see right in front of you. So therefore, if I sit quietly and I tap into things that I believe are around us because we have meters and cameras and detectors and all these things happening that you can all these physical tools that are, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, proving that something is happening. We don't know what it is, but it's happening. Then, I can tap into that reality and that's, meditate on that and see what comes through. But a lot of people won't do that. They're just going to say, this is stupid. I'm just sitting here thinking there's nothing. Well, if that's what you think, that's what's going to be presented to you.
That's what you're going to get out of it. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that people create these experiences themselves and it's mass hysteria or something, because there are firm 100% skeptics that I have seen have just one experience and say, you know what? I need to start looking at things in a different way because I never thought I would experience that before. And I don't know, hopefully those experiences are good for the person having them.
Those metaphysical skills that you were talking about before, how do they work and play into your life or your role as a Lady Ghostbuster?
Well, I believe a lot in the use of rocks and crystals. They're ancient. Crystals hold memory. Quartz crystals power watches.
That's my bracelet. I'm wearing a quartz crystal
I
bracelet
know,
right
I
now.
love it.
And I
It's
see
beautiful.
You have a lovely amethyst necklace on right now.
I have my, like I said, my fine jewelry on today. Because usually I wear a chunk of raw amethyst, and I always have to have it wrapped in silver. I believe silver is a very grounding metal. I'm also wearing labradorite. Labradorite, they say, is supposed to help open up your psychic and spiritual abilities. Both stones are very calming, which is good for me because I tend to have a lot of energy, which can sometimes manifest into anxiety if I don't get that energy out on doing the things like I like outside, swimming, hiking, just connecting with nature. I feel like I need to be in quiet areas in nature a lot. You can listen, it sounds so like hippie-ish or something, but you can basically listen and you could feel the vibe of the universe when you're out in nature by yourself. Turn off the cell phone, get out of your cars, get off the computer for a minute and just really
put yourself
the connection.
In that nature zone. Okay.
Because everything tells a story, I think. That's why there's a lake I frequent, and I always call it the Whispering Woods. Every time I'm there, there's no one there, but it always sounds like someone's talking. I hear women's voices a lot.
What lake is this?
I don't want to say it because I don't want to ruin it, because then
you don't want everybody showing up there.
And I don't know if I can say it.
Okay.
So it's local and it's beautiful, and if you know about it, you know about it. If you don't, I try and bring people there for themselves. But 9 times out of 10, when I go there, I have some sort of experience, and it's always like a woman's voice. And I believe that the water, the trees, the rocks, everything surrounding it
contributes to it.
Well, they have that memory. Of, it might be playing back some sort of memory from that area, because places absorb energy. It's off of the Appalachian Trail, which is right next to it.
Appalachian Trail. I know which one you're talking about. I have to talk to you about it after. We go for a hike at a lake on the Appalachian Trail too. So,
do you ever hear it? Do you hear women's voices?
I haven't really been paying attention to it because we pretty much go in with the dogs and they're running in and out of the water, and we kind of get to the lake and we do our look over everything and appreciation for it, and then we turn back and go back the other way. So
it's crazy. The other day I was there with a girlfriend and her dog does not get along with other dogs, and we were swimming and the dog started pointing towards the direction of the trail and whimpering. And I said, what, see a chipmunk or something? And she said, no, she usually doesn't do this. If it's an animal, she barks. She goes, I don't know what this whimpering is. Maybe we should go down the trail. So we took the dog with us. We're going down the trail, and we heard a woman's voice. It couldn't have been more than 1.5 feet in front of us beyond the trees. And immediately she called out, I have a dog. If you have a dog, my dog isn't good with other dogs, and I'm sorry. And then we're waiting for a response and nothing. And then I said, hello, and there's nothing.
When you heard the woman's voice, was it audible that you could hear what
yes.
she was saying?
No, it's always you can't make out what they're saying. anything, but it is completely there. I mean, the other day she said she was there with her husband and they were swimming and they heard a woman scream out, "Stop it!" And they both jumped out thinking, uh-oh, people are coming and, you know, maybe they want to, you know, we should move our stuff or whatever. And they got out and nobody ever came by. There was nobody there.
Well, you bet. Your bottom dollar.
Yeah.
I'm going to be listening for that voice next time we're hiking there.
There's lots of them. It's crazy. Like, I always hear whispering during the one part, and then I always get out and look to see if there's somebody coming, you know, just to warn them that I'm there, because there's a lot of, like, hidden little alcoves and everything where you can't see from the trail. And if they have dogs or something, I don't want to, like, scare them or startle them.
Sure.
And there's never anybody there. And I'm like, stop it. I know I heard it. Like we all do. We all turn and look and we're like, hello? Nothing.
Wow. Well, I, as a child, was always told that when you find a feather, you've been gifted with something.
Yes.
And I know that feathers follow you everywhere because just
almost
literally
daily.
when
yesterday blue jay feather.
Well, yeah, you showed me that, yeah. And I know that blue meant something too. I'll have to look that up for you.
Yeah, I do have to look that up.
Something having to do with this spiritual connection with spirit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because when I found the blue one a couple weeks ago, I was like so excited about it. But
I've never found.
You've never found a blue one.
I found a feather from the underside of a blue heron.
Yeah, heron.
Very fluffy, but like a light gray blue. But this was straight.
This
it's from a
really
blue jay.
Yes,
yeah,
she showed it to me. Yeah, and it would be very apropos for your life and everything that's going on right now that you would get a blue feather that spiritually connects you with the spirits.
I hope so, and I hope it really is somebody passed over just letting you know that they're there, because like I said, I find feathers every day, and I know I'm in the woods a lot, so it would make sense I'm finding feathers, but I mean, I'm finding feathers, and I pulled into a parking lot the other day, got out of the car, and right in front of the car in the parking space was this giant black feather, so I just looked up and said thank you. I always thank whoever it is. I said thank you. I know it, whoever it is, I recognize the gift. I pulled into the bank the other day. I'm in the ATM, and just laying on the side by the grass was two really big gray feathers. I don't know.
And just because you're walking in the woods, though, doesn't mean you're going to... I mean, everyone's going to assume you're going to find a lot of feathers in the woods, but I'm telling you, there are really not a lot of feathers in the woods if you go looking for them.
Yeah, like they're...
So...
And I mean, it got to a point, I always feel like when I miss my mom the most, and you know, she passed 2 years ago.
Right.
And
well, we've had that discussion. You said, I wish she was here and she knew about what happened. And
well, she used to keep a feather in her car from a seagull in Chatham, Cape Cod, and she always said she kept it in her car for good luck and having a smooth flight, and she just felt like it, you know,
kept her safe.
Helped. Yeah. So that same feather I put in my car after she passed, and it was shortly after that I am just being showered with feathers everywhere. And I will go days where I miss her so much, and I'll like say out loud, I just wish that I could get like just such a concrete sign that you are here, you know? And then
that's
I'll
not
go outside.
Concrete enough for you, girlfriend?
I know.
Really?
Well, everybody thinks, okay, if you're so psychic and you're so sensitive, you must be talking or seeing your mother all the time. It's
doesn't
not
work that
like
way
that.
always.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Not for everybody, anyway.
Yeah. I mean, she could be with my sister that day. Who knows?
Right.
Definitely, when I'm missing her, I feel like I get signs. She also had wind chimes all over her lilac tree outside, and she loved them, and I have them all over my apartment. And this past winter, it was freezing, not one window open, no draft coming in the door. You've been to my apartment, you know, it's very large, it's not drafty at all. Like, there's only, especially in the hallway where I have a lot of the wind chimes hanging, and I was just missing her and talking out loud to her, and I started crying, and then I immediately stopped because I heard the wind chimes, and I looked over, saw them moving a little bit, and I said, no, that is impossible. They're like hanging off a china cabinet in a hallway. There's not
definitely not
a gust of wind.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I do remember you saying that, you know, I wished that she knew what that first social post meant for you and where it has taken you, because you are very much a huge portion of my first book.
Yes,
and
thank you.
And I appreciate you telling me those stories, and I appreciate us creating this friendship and this communication. And I responded to you with, she knows. She knows.
Yeah.
And your father are both a part of this. They're both a part of making it happen. So.
I mean, my father was a huge, as soon as, Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures came on, he was always watching those. Mm-hmm. He would always ask me, hey, Deb, how about that Zach, huh? You like Zach? And I'm like, yes, Dad. I love Zach. I do. Zach, I love you if you're listening. And, my mom, she was the one that led me to you. She thought it was strange that she would tell me that, but I think it was just the time period was right. Mm-hmm. Because normally she would have looked at that and been like, that's interesting, and not even thought to tell me. But I think she was giving me a hint, mm-hmm. And a gift in a way, sort of, like those feathers. Yeah. And unfortunately, she passed without being able to see the book before it was done. But she knew that I was giving you stories mm-hmm. for it and that it was being worked on. And I just think that, I hope, they would both be very pleased and amused and proud. Yep. Of everything that I've been doing so far. Absolutely. I'm sure they are. Absolutely. And I wish I had the opportunity to meet her because she sounded like she was a lovely lady. So. Yeah. Well, as I've known you, as we've gotten to know one another, I know you have a very goofy side to you, and it's clearly present in all you do at many times. I have Why to have it. Why such a goofball? What kind of things do you like? I have to. It's just part of my personality. I'm a Sagittarius. So, like I said, I got all that natural, annoying energy. And, I don't know, I've just been, you heal a lot of things with humor and being silly. And one of the best gifts that I feel like I could give people besides, any support in any way is to make them laugh. Laughter heals. Definitely. For sure. I can be very dry and sarcastic, and I don't know, maybe I watched a lot of stand-up growing up. Oh, you always got a smile on your face, and that really can mean a lot to people just in general, just to have someone smile at you, so it's a good thing, dear. Well, most importantly, I want people to feel comfortable with me, because like I said, I was teased and bullied a lot when I was younger for things, and I was too. It's great that people who suffer through that grow up to be good more people. Empathetic. Exactly. Actually, because if you've been there, you know how it is. You never want somebody to feel bad, right, or feel how you did. So I always try to treat people with the utmost respect. I want them to feel as comfortable in front of me as they would their own family. I'm sure you taught that to Vanian, just like I taught my girls the same. Oh, you want that to grow. Oh, she was head of the anti-bullying league in her elementary school. I was very proud of her. My daughter was in that too. Yeah. Yay. Yeah. They called it in the high school that she went to, they called it Heroes and Cool Kids. That's cute. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. What'd she have to do? If she saw a new student coming, she'd introduce herself, and if she saw anything going on, she'd try to intervene. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. And I think that's a great program that's come so far, because God knows when I graduated high school, there wasn't anything program like that at all. Yeah. And I was one of those weird goth kids with the hair and the nose ring and the wearing black and all that. So you can imagine. It was fun though. I have a big punk rock background as well. That's okay. So, nothing wrong with that. But back in the mid-90s, that was a new thing, Now it's very refreshing to see kids going to school with rainbow hair and nobody even blinks an eye. Yeah. Yeah, true that. Awesome. They're all comfortable with themselves. And now they have the anti-bullying classes going on. Which I think is a huge, huge thing. I really do feel like it's so important, because totally too many children deal with being bullied and there's no one there to help them. Outcasted. And there's no help for them. And some of them don't survive it, sadly. I feel like I was stronger for it, for what I went through. I developed a little chip on my shoulder. I got full. But there are some that not so much, and my heart goes out to those, for sure. Definitely. Well, back to the investigating part of our discussion. The Lady Ghostbusters use old school methods of investigating, mostly anyway, with spirit communication. We do use some equipment, but old school methods has its own definition. Why don't you explain what that means to you? That would be using the crystal pendulums for answering questions. It could be as simple as a flashlight blinking on and off. they have a lot of these newer devices out that are, they're fantastic. They're great, but they're very expensive. And I want people out there to know that you don't need to buy something. You don't need to break the bank on anything to communicate.
You say crystal pendulum. What do you mean by crystal pendulum?
I have it's almost like a triangle shaped clear quartz on a chain.
Mm-hmm.
And even when we were little, like we used to, use the crystal. If it went back and forth a certain way, it meant yes. If it did circles, it meant no. And you could pick anything.
So yes and no answers for the spirits to communicate.
Yeah.
And then you said the flashlight. What about that?
If you just get a simple, small, like mag light, loosen it up a little bit where the battery it's in there, it's connected. You could turn it on or off, but if the theory is, if you lay it down, you ask the ghost a question or the spirit a question, and it will be able to answer the question by activating the light source or turning it off.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I have an EMF detector, and I think a lot of people know what those are from all of the TV shows.
Why don't you tell us again, just in case they don't?
It's a meter to detect an electromagnetic field, and the way it works, it's very, it's handheld, it's small, and it has a series of colored lights starting with green and then going through a scale of like yellow, orange, and red. And depending on the color, it's how much EMF an area is putting off. And, I guess a lot of electricians and everything would use these in their practice.
So let's say if you were near something electrical, it would go all the way to red. And if you were like near your phone, it would activate it. So if you were to use it, you have to be away from those sources so that you could say definitively it's gone off from some sort of other energy other than those things, right?
You have to test everything first. Am I by an electric line? Mm-hmm. Am I by any kind of power source? And I've come to find there's not a lot of big power sources coming out of just regular homes. It works out pretty well that way. Your phone will give off a little bit. It'll go green. But this is, sitting in the middle of a room. There's absolutely no EMF that you've detected anywhere. You can ask a question. You could tell the spirit to use their energy, to use their electromagnetic field to make the device go off. And sometimes we don't even have to ask. We turn it on and it just starts happening because they're so excited to hear from us.
Because they're being acknowledged. They want to be acknowledged.
Definitely.
And to find someone that can actually hear them and communicate with them really does excite them. And they can be pretty funny, too, because we'll be telling stories and joking around, and those K2s go crazy, don't they?
Yeah.
Because they're actually enjoying the camaraderie going on between us. They feel like a part of it.
It's like they're chiming in, but we can't hear what they're saying. That's when you have, you can do an EVP session while you're doing the EMF. And the EVP is the electronic voice phenomena. And the theory is if you are using a recording device, you're having a conversation or you're just listening, you might not hear something as you're recording, but you play the source back and there might be a voice on that tape.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that works. And hopefully it goes with the EMF detection as well.
Mm-hmm.
And those are and that's very inexpensive too. You could go to Walmart and get like a digital recorder for like $30.
I think you can get it you can get it online too, even just
or on your cell phone. Mm-hmm. You can use the audio on your cell phone.
I think I'm more likely to use one that's separate from the phone.
Yeah.
Just for reliability and I don't know. I just
the
trust it more.
The speakers and the sound on the devices are probably more upgraded than certain phones because it's only made for capturing sound. But those are inexpensive. I know they have the cameras now and the grid fields and the REM pods.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the pretty newest one, right? But I mean they're very expensive right now. It's stuff I would like to have, but I guess it's stuff guys like to have when they have a hobby. If they have a car hobby, they like to have this. You don't have to buy it. It's not required for what you're doing because when the connection is there and they want to connect with you, they will, without a doubt, find a way to connect with you.
It's
true. Hey, out of all the investigations, we've done together on the Lady Ghostbuster team so far. Which was your favorite?
That's a difficult question. I don't think I have like a favorite. I have favorite parts.
Like what?
To certain investigations, because all of them are so different. You know, some are very emotional, some are very funny, some are just so shockingly dead on. You know, you're like, I can't even believe this is happening. But of course, I loved our mine investigations.
That very first
because
one.
It was the first one. We got some really good footage. I got to meet everybody. It was exciting. And it was in my hometown.
Right.
I love my mine.
I'd like to go back there again someday.
I plan on it.
Do ya?
Yeah, because my boyfriend knows somebody that works there, and he said we can go anytime.
Well, we know somebody that works there too.
I'm like, we have so many connections.
I'm sure if we did approach him, they'd let us come back.
Oh, 100%.
This whole COVID thing has really put a damper on a lot of things going on. I mean, a lot of investigations were canceled that need to be rescheduled because of it. So, hopefully.
But even with the COVID, I still love that some people, they really want to welcome us into their homes or their areas because they want the answers. So this definitely brings people together. This is like the most social I've been in years with people, you know, meeting different people on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Is pretty incredible. It's great to see how everyone and their families react to the activity that's going on around them.
What we come up with, the answers.
Yeah. There's lots of neat things we run into, like the woman that had all of the old maps and the crystals.
Next thing we know, we were talking about crystals.
Yeah.
Right?
Then it just turned into like girl talk for an hour after. Girl talk with the spirits.
After the investigation. Yeah.
It was great.
Well, has anything ever been like a disappointment to you? Has anything happened that you were just like, oh man, you know?
No. Because I think I'm just so thankful and appreciative of everything that we get. Like, especially when we were at the rail yard, the train.
The sign of the Rockport train wreck.
Yes.
Which took place in
that was intense to me
in the 20s. Yeah, so many people died in that crash, and I knew that it would probably be a very successful place of activity. So the first time I took the group there, it was amazing then, because the mediums that were with us ended up coming up with names that they were able to verify later on from the passenger manifest. And then we were also having communication with one of the railroad workers who would turn the railroad crossing light on and off and make the whistles go.
That's incredible. Like, I wish I was there to witness that.
Yeah, we got that on audio. So the reason for me wanting to take us back there the second time was because I wanted to be able to have that happen again. Unfortunately, it did not, and I thought, oh my goodness, what's going to happen now? And then
we had someone there with an ovilus. And an ovilus is the box with it says words. And the idea is that the spirit is, picking the words directly of what it wants to communicate. And it's pretty accurate sometimes.
When you go back to look at the words, you're like, oh my goodness, you attach it to your audio.
Well,
and
I had never
recordings.
Seen one of those before in real life. So I was like, oh my gosh, can I play with that? And of course, the woman with us that had it said, oh yeah, like you can touch it, you can hold it. It's not going to set anything off. It just it scans, I guess, waves, and it has a dictionary of thousands of words in it, but the words are not pre-programmed to
pop
just
them out,
spout
random.
out. Like, so it's chosen. And I had walked up, and of course, me being all goofy again, I walked up to the railroad and I said, "Oh, there's a spike. I want this one. Can I take this home?" I said, "Spirits, can I take this home?" And the box said, "No." And I said, "Oh, okay." And I put it down and I said, "That's the box. That's like the ovilus, right?" She said, "Yeah." And picked it up, and I was wearing my chunk of raw amethyst, and one of the other women with us said, "Oh, I really like the necklace you're wearing." And I said, "Oh, the amethyst?" And the box said magical. amulet. And I said, that's crazy. Like, why would it say that?
Right.
Then it got a little sad later where it was saying burn, fire.
Right, because they were actually the passengers were burned alive in the wreck. And the two women there, you, Deb Solinski, and Tara Fansla, the other Lady Ghostbuster, are intuitive enough that you can see spirit. So you guys were picking up on railroad workers walking.
They were it was like plain as day. It was so strange. It looks like they're walking at you, but they're just not getting any
They're not getting
closer.
any closer. Mm-hmm.
But you could see the outline. They were completely there. She snapped a photo in real time and brought it up and showed me. And I said, I can't believe it's right there. We went off. We were walking down the railroad, and I had made a comment, being a railroad connoisseur myself. I love my railroads. I had said to her, you know what? I don't think that this was the original track. I actually think it was veering off a little bit this way because, look, the landscape is changing up here. As soon as I said that, the EMF meter went all the way up to red. It was going crazy, just going through the whole scale of colors, blinking on and off. Of course, I was taping on my phone. I'm dating myself. I was recording video on my cell phone of it happening in real time as it was. Tara also had a Ovilus app on her phone.
And do you recall if Margaret Miller, the other Lady Ghostbuster, was she able to see the beings walking as well, or no?
I can't remember
because I know she had a lot of equipment.
She knew that they were there because she kept saying, like, I feel people walking down, the people that had to do something with the railroad, like workers. To
the audience listening in, everybody that's a part of the Lady Ghostbuster team has their own abilities, and some of us are less aware of them than others. So where I might just have what I call a foofy feeling that something's around me, somebody like Deb and Tara will actually see them there. Some people can hear them. It's just everyone's gift is different. So that's why I asked Deb if she recalled what Margaret Miller experienced, because I'm not fully aware of
I'm not sure. I had walked off down the track because once the EMF meter was going off, I said, I have to investigate over here. And then the box said my name, or not the box. Tara had the Ovilus app, and the Ovilus app said my name. It said, Deb, down, go. And I said, do you want me to walk down where I said the landscape was changing? And I went down that way. As I was going down that way, the EMF was going nuts, and I found off to the side a piece of wood that was from the original track.
Oh,
so
wow.
It was confirming that I was walking down, saying I think the track was over,
that way.
that it was.
Can't get any more proof than that, huh?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, how can people just be like, you're making this up? Making what up? Now we have equipment that's...
You go into an investigation, you just never know what to expect. I mean, we go on investigations to specifically find out what the activity is that's going on in the home, and 99% of the time it is a haunting of some sort, but then while we're there, deceased loved ones want to get in, and so they'll...
Yeah.
And then there are times that it's just deceased loved ones that are creating the activity, and they don't have anything else going on.
Yeah, they didn't even know in the first place. They just thought, where did this haunting come from all of a sudden, and what's going on?
And those tend to be the more emotional ones. The people that are involved get very emotional, and I'm talking in a happy way. I mean, you feel their loss for that deceased loved one, but you also feel their joy in being able to reconnect with them and knowing that they're around.
It's almost like vindicating for them that, in a way, that these people aren't gone from your life. They're still here with you. They drop in, they check on you, they love you. When someone's physical body ends, what do you do with the energy? Energy can't be created nor destroyed, right? So that energy that I think we call a soul definitely transforms into something else.
For sure.
And unfortunately, I always say in this parallel universe, we can't see it plain as day anymore the way it was. Because
That's just the way it is.
That is. But, it's a good thing for the people that can see. Like, sometimes I don't see in a way where it looks like, I see a person standing in that corner. I'll see a image of the person in my head, and I know that they're present. Tara will sometimes legitimately see someone standing in the corner.
Right.
I don't have that happen to me a lot anymore. It did when I was younger. That kind of went away. I don't know, I would say around, the preteen years, as people were saying, oh, stop it, that doesn't exist.
So
I tried to ignore it.
You think you kind of shut it down a bit?
I definitely did. There were some experiences I had that were very frightening to me as a child, just because I think it would be frightening to any child, and I just wanted to shut it out. That was like my daughter for a while, where it was like, this is uncomfortable, I don't want to think about it. But then as I got to my mid to upper teens, I said, you know what? I am so tired of being afraid of you. I'm just gonna
embrace it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the flow. I'm gonna learn from you and give me what you got. I'm not afraid anymore. I just want to know.
My personal experience is very similar to that, too. When I was 12, it scared me and I shut down. So I really feel like that was a reason for me not developing so much as others have.
But you still can.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like in just this short time that I've been writing these books, the Sussex County Hauntings series, and meeting all these people and undertaking all of these investigations, I have grown tremendously in my abilities since then. And I do feel as a group, when we're together, we all have our piece of the puzzle that comes together.
I know, it's amazing.
So we kind of feed off of each other's story and then pull something out. Sometimes something will just get put into my mind and I'll just say it because I don't feel like anything is a coincidence. So I just say it, and that's the missing piece. So, and then I get so excited because I'm like, oh my gosh, that was me. I did that.
And I love when one of us says something like, I believe the spirit's name was Paul, and then you look it up historically, you back it up, and it is factually right there.
Or the homeowner who is there, and we say the name, and it's a deceased loved one, and they're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I know who
you
that
think
is.
You're here for a separate, oh, I'm sorry, ghost in the basement. You're going to have to wait your turn because now grandma has stepped in.
Yep. and they confirm it because they know who the person is, because they recognize the name, and then personality traits have a lot to do with it too, because you'll say something that will be so that person's personality that the homeowner will say, oh my gosh.
Like the last investigation I was on with you was incredible like that. And what surprised me most about that investigation was I thought, because and all the information I had on the house when I first got there was from the 1840 something, and I didn't want to know anything else because I never want to know any of the information. I want to see if what I'm picking up on is, being validated.
Are you talking about the house on Mudtown Road?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But I thought because the house was so old that the house was going to be very overrun with spirits. Hauntings and spirits. But what surprised me the most was it was a lot more of the surrounding land on the property was very alive and active to me.
Yeah.
It was like you could cut it with a knife. And I thought it was great when I pulled in and I sat in the car and I said, oh my gosh, I feel like I can't explain, but I get, my foofy feeling, I felt a lot of Native American energy around the property. It was very overwhelming in a good way because,
Well, I remember you using the word protecting. They were protecting it.
Yeah, very protective of the land, the people on the land. And then when Tara pulled in after me, we had not seen each other that day. We had not spoken on the phone. We've both never been to this place. We know nothing about this place. And she steps out and says,
the first thing she says,
did you see all those Native American people standing on the hill over there? And Jackie turned around and said, we said the same thing when we got here. And
Jackie Hangley, she's another Lady Ghostbuster too. Yep.
Yeah, just to have everything validated. I mean, come on, what are the odds that 3-4 people are going to say the same exact thing?
Didn't know where they were going until I told them. Have never been there before and just got there. Absolutely.
And I, every time that happens, I feel every single time I'm all like, that can't be what's happening. And then it's validated that it is. And I'm like, oh my God, absolutely. I did it. Yay. So I know how you feel.
I get so excited.
Well, it is exciting because it's something that people will always say, that's impossible, that doesn't exist, it can't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Why would somebody say that? I'm sure somebody said we couldn't go to the moon either.
Right.
It's just how it is.
Look what happened with that.
Exactly.
Well, Deb, thanks so much for talking to me today.
Thank
for
you.
sharing your stories and background with the rest of the world. I really do hope that you'll come back again and talk with us again.
I would love to.
And to you, the public. You can follow Deb on her Instagram, Lady Ghostbuster Debbie. Find out more about her and the Lady Ghostbuster adventures at my own website, authoreleanorwagner.com, where you'll find video updates and photographs from every investigation. And